Welcome into Jags A.M. on this Wednesday. We're presented by Jet HomeLoans, and we're here in the Hyundai Studios. You guys, it feels a little weird, like we got to get back into the swing of things because we had that little mini bye week, and now we're back on schedule.
Well, then you get the bye week next week, so you'll be off schedule again.
It'll be the maxi bye week.
Yeah, right.
So.
It'll be a couple weeks. It'll be a couple weeks before we're back in it.
Not too bad. All right, let's look ahead to this week and kind of what the team has been dealing with. Our first big thing is R&R because, as we've mentioned, this team played 4 games in 19 days. Of course, 2 of those were in London, played here, played in New Orleans on Thursday Night Football, so they really went through the gauntlet there, and now is a bit of a rest period. They had a bit of a short bye week because they had the weekend off, and then after they get through this Steelers game, they will have the bye week. So how do you kind of remain focused, Brian, and use the rest time but not get out of sync, because you need to still be ready when you take on Pittsburgh?
Yeah, and Doug did a good job, obviously, because they won through that whole 19-day stretch. But getting guys off their feet, getting them home early, giving them more mental reps, they talked about, more time with the iPad, watching tape, digesting the game plan. I think on the bye week, it's about getting rid of it all, right? Flushing, and then coming back in, as we said, renewed, right? Feeling revived. And I think for a lot of guys, having 3 days after those 19 that were so rigorous is going to give them a little pep in their step. It's kind of like when you open, because I know you have a dog, when you open the door and it's that first bit of fall air that hits them, right? It's 65 instead of 85.
That's true.
And they go running outside. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be hard this week because I think they practiced on Monday, then you have your normal Tuesday, and so when you come back in this Wednesday, I think it feels normal. Okay. And I do think there's the incentive. I think these coaches and Doug in particular do a good job of making sure they understand situations. So I think once they get back in today, I do think it'll be that revived, get back to it. After the bye week, I've never really been around a team that has a problem coming back from a bye. There's some teams that are better than others, but I've never really sensed a lack of focus coming off of it. I think they're used to that by now.
Well, and it could help that a couple days off gives you a chance to get a couple guys back, right?
Sure.
I mean, he said Walker Little and Zay Jones were likely to practice this week. That's really good. And Devon Hamilton's not far away. He may not be ready until after the bye, but you're getting some guys back because of the extra time off.
And this goes into what Doug was talking about when he was kind of going for this schedule. He wanted the bye later in the year because that's when guys get banged up and it benefits you more rather than getting it right after coming back from London.
Yeah, I think he would love to have had it maybe a couple of weeks later with this mini bye, because this does make it feel
start-stop.
Yeah, and a long time with only a couple of games. But he got part of what he got.
Yeah. Our second big thing is going to be rivalry renewed, because when you go up against these old AFC teams, you always have some good games in the mix. And I'm going to turn to you guys because you're my historians. So tell me about some of the good Jaguars and Steelers matchups from the past.
Well, I'll give you one, and I think people may have forgotten this. In 1997, the Jaguars won when Clyde Simmons blocked a Norm Johnson field goal attempt in the first ever Monday Night Football game for the Jaguars, and it was here. Blocks it, Chris Hudson takes it back, right? So the game ends on the final play. About 6 weeks later, we're in Pittsburgh. It's cold. It's dark. The game goes to overtime, and the stadium goes silent at the old Three Rivers as the coin is tossed, and the Jaguars call tails, and the referee says it is heads, and the place erupts. It just shook. You could feel it. And the Steelers won on a shovel pass to Jerome Bettis to win on the final play of the game. And it's the first time, to the best of my knowledge, and the last time, that a 2-game series, so it had to be a divisional, where both games ended on the final play.
That's pretty neat.
It was epic.
Yeah, and then the one that I wasn't here for, 2007, the Jags go to Pittsburgh, beat the Steelers twice. They do it again in 2017. The Jaguars have timed playing the Steelers up there well, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
They've been good in a lot of years where they've gone up there and played. I think their record's 7-2 up there since 2001.
It is. I mean, they haven't lost there in 20 years.
Which, in order for the Jaguars to have that kind of record over a 20-year period, they have to hit timing right, because you weren't going up there a lot of years and winning that. So, and people talk about, well, the Jaguars have the Steelers number. Well, I think when the Jaguars are good, they do. And I think they're good this year. I think it's a good matchup for the Jags. But I think the Steelers are very, very dangerous because they believe in themselves.
I take that back. They lost there in 2011. Here's the why the Jaguars always kind of seem to have their number. Because the Steelers were the standard when the Jaguars started as an expansion team. And Tom Coughlin built his team to compete with Pittsburgh. And then Jack Del Rio came in, and the Steelers had a young quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, so he built his team to compete with them. When the Jaguars were in the old AFC South, and even into the old AFC Central, and even into the AFC South, they were always targeting Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh's the standard of excellence in this league, or one of the standards of excellence in this league. And so there have been some epic games. I mean, that's a fourth down play right there that David Garrard gets free and sets up a game-winning field goal in the playoffs. That's the wild card playoff game in 2007. Scobie wins it here. So this rivalry is dead even, right? The Jaguars own both playoff victories. And I mean, I can go point game by game by game. The Jaguars' first home win was against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Here, it was epic. I mean, it's been a great rivalry. And what people don't realize is that the Rooneys would have loved to have been able to bring the Jaguars into the AFC North, but they couldn't. They needed the Browns, right, because that's a rivalry. And the Browns needed the Bengals because that's a rivalry. And everyone wanted the Ravens. It just didn't work. But the Rooney family has always been a strong proponent of the Jaguars. A really strong proponent of the Jaguars, and the Weavers and the Rooneys had a really nice relationship, and that's part of the rivalry that people don't see.
It's pretty cool. Hopefully another iteration of it this time around in this matchup. We do want to talk about our final big thing, which is who are you? We've talked a ton about identity when it comes to the Jaguars, about what kind of team they're supposed to be, and we don't quite know yet. Steelers, you could probably say the same for them. Coach Mike Tomlin was asked about that yesterday, and he had a pretty interesting answer.
I think in 2023, when you're talking about team identity, you're talking more intangible quality things. A grit, a mindset, the approach in which you take the circumstances. Are you a calculated risk-taking group? Are you a fundamentalist group? Are you a small menu group? Those are the things that really kind of comprise identity today. If you start talking about we're a running group, then people are going to show up in goal line defense and open field on you. And so it doesn't behoove you to marry yourself to an identity. All it does is make the sledding more difficult in 2023. There's so much specialization in today's game. It just is. The utilization of people in very specific places on offense and defense. It makes it a matchup game. It makes it a situational game. You can have an agenda in which you desire, but there are things that people can do to push you off that agenda regardless of what your intentions are in 2023. If people play open grass goal line, then chances are you're going to have a difficult time running the football, for example. And that's what the Rams were willing to do, for example. When they went nickel 5-1 versus 3 wide receiver sets, they were saying by virtue of the people that we have on the field, your run game is going to be difficult today if you choose to do so. And so from time to time, you're going to choose to fight that fight. Sometimes you're not. Those are just the strategic components of today's game, and that's why it makes declaration of identity a stupid endeavor at this juncture.
So needless to say, Mike Tomlin, not a huge fan of declaring what kind of team you are, and he has a point in the sense that nowadays you have to be so versatile, right? So declaring yourself a running team doesn't really serve you if the defense is going to come out and completely shut you down on the run. So John, is just the nature of the 2023 game that everybody kind of has to have a little hand in everything and really be specialized?
It is, but I think Tomlin does it first. First off, I wish somebody had asked, Mike, I didn't get that. Could you repeat that? But I think what Tomlin does really well is even if he doesn't necessarily have a running-based dominant defensive team, which he really doesn't this year, he makes those guys believe that they're good at those things, and he makes them believe that that's their identity. They're a 3-4 defense that runs a lot of 2-5. Yeah, they're not a great run defense, but I guarantee you when it's 3rd and 2, those guys believe they are, and they probably play well in those situations in big moments like that. Same with running the ball. Pittsburgh fans are going to believe they're a running team no matter what style they have. So I think he has that as an identity, but a very good coach, which he is, knows you have to be versatile.
It's remarkable. For 54 years, he is the 3rd head coach since 1969. And the Steelers have always been a dominant front, right? Both sides of the ball. Run the ball, stop the run, and they're not. I mean, when you look at them, you know, they're bottom 5 in run defense and bottom 5 in run offense. So you say, well, what is this? I tell you what they do, which is what they've always done, is, man, they beat you on defense with their skill position players, with T.J. Watt, with Minkah Fitzpatrick. They are first in the league with 15 forced fumbles. They are in the top 5 with sacks with 29, and they are top 5 in interceptions with 10. So they're 4-2, not because they're that typical run the ball, stop the run Pittsburgh team, but because on defense they make plays when they have to. And I think Mike Tomlin's just a remarkable story. He's been a terrific coach. He was young, he was slightly unknown when they hired him, and yet he has continued the tradition. And it's remarkable also because, you know, it's 2023 and it's the first time we're like, who are these guys? Because the Steelers always had that identity.
Well, I mean, it helps when you have Big Ben for a while. That kind of like dictates, and the defense that they've had. That was always their identity, just tough and gritty. And now we're kind of seeing where they're going. And Kenny Pickett's a little bit of an anomaly so far, at least from what I've seen him this season. John, have you seen much of Kenny Pickett or kind of seeing what he might be?
I haven't, but from talking to people up there, what makes this team dangerous is they're so good in the second half. And
little Jaguars from last year.
Well, and even, you know, the Jaguars aren't coming back in games this year, but they're playing well in the fourth quarter to get out of games. And both these teams are what gets you good in the NFL, which is they make the big plays at the big times. So Kenny Pickett has been average at best in the first half. He's been off the charts good in the second half. And when you're playing on the road, and when you, meaning the Jaguars going up there against a team that believes it plays well at home, you know, I anticipate the Jaguars probably being up at halftime and the Steelers making a game of it because they believe they will.
Well, and whatever you think of Kenny Pickett, when T.J. Watt intercepts a ball in the first series of the third quarter and puts it first and goal for you, that helps you be good in the second half.
Sure. Have to help there. All right, stay with us. We're going to come back here a little bit more from Mike Tomlin about what he's seen from the Jaguars and what he's expecting in this matchup.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dreamfinders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dreamfinders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamfindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
In partnership with Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation, any Jaguars ticket holders who are unable to attend a Jaguars home game can donate their future tickets to a Jacksonville area first responder. Visit jaguars.com/members and click Manage Account. Sign into your account and click Manage Tickets and Parking. Select the game tickets, click on the More button, and then choose to donate to the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation. Firehouse Subs is dedicated to impacting the life-saving capabilities and the lives of local heroes and communities. For more information, visit Firehouse Subs Foundation. Crown Royal's That Deserves a Crown program recognizes local heroes for making a positive impact in the community. The Jaguars and Crown Royal are giving back to those who served this season, celebrating these individuals with the ultimate VIP Jaguars home game experience. Nominate someone who deserves a crown today at jaguars.com/Crown Royal promotion. Please drink responsibly.
Jags fans, if you want, for 10 years, Dreamfinders Homes has been proud to call themselves the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit DreamfindersHomes.com for all of the available inventory, and go Jags. Welcome back to Jags A.M. Talking Steelers, because that's the team they're playing this week, and it should be a good one. There's a history of good games, and Mike Tomlin, I listened to his whole press conference yesterday. I just find him so, I don't know, entertaining is not the right word. It's just very interesting to hear the way he kind of thinks about the game and talks about the game, and just how he shared his scouting of the Jaguars already, naming every single player and who he was looking at, but particularly he singled out Trayvon Walker as someone that they're looking at on defense.
First, man, we got to do a really good job of managing their bigs. They've invested a lot in their bigs. They got former first rounders, first overall picks in that group. The edge guys really capture your attention. Josh Allen and Walker, in particular, as a tandem, wreak a lot of havoc. I think Josh Allen's got 7 sacks. I think oftentimes sacks don't represent the havoc that Walker causes. I felt that way in an analysis of him leading up to the draft. He's just the type of guy that wrecks a lot of things. He plays with a violent style of play. He's a wrecking ball, and so we just got to be really cognizant of their group and the wave that they provide, the challenges that come with managing their front.
It's calling Trayvon a wrecking ball, per se.
You feel vindicated, John?
I know. I want to hear John. It's just interesting because I know we're so tough on Trayvon about not having sack numbers, but just the role he plays in the run and other coaches, the way they see him setting up the dynamic for Josh.
Yeah, and it's not just against the run. He's so much better against the pass than people give him credit for because he collapses the pocket and he makes it very difficult for the quarterback to stand in on his side. He's not a sack guy. I don't know if it's vindication because, look, the reality is if people continue to say, where are the sacks about Trayvon Walker, they're going to continue to say, well, he's not worth the pick, whatever all that stuff is. I was kind of glad Mike said it because I hadn't thought of the wrecking ball analogy, and that's really a good analogy with him. Yep. He disrupts so much and makes it so difficult to go to his side of the field that it's almost like when a defensive back can take away a
section of the field. Yeah.
Well, what it is it's the offensive line of scrimmage is 2 yards behind the original line of scrimmage on his side of the field. He's constantly got the end and the tackle pushed backwards. So you're having to loop behind them to get the running game going. And you're right. Forget the sacks for just a second and look what he does to the pocket. Go on NFL Plus and watch the All-22 replay, and all you see is him near the quarterback. And it's different than Caleb Bonchason, who's consistently been near the quarterback but never made the play. This guy allows other people to make the play, and wait till Devon Hamilton comes back. That's really going to be interesting.
And again, I don't know what the end game comparison with Aiden Hutchinson and all that. I don't know how many sacks he's going to get. What I continue to say about Trayvon is, if you're a Jaguars fan, you don't want to watch them play defense without him right now because he is so stout and so dominant on his side of the ball. And I'm not saying there's never a play where it doesn't go right over there. But for the most part, they're 4th in the league in run defense, and they're like the top 3 or top 5 in pressures and knockdowns and all that stuff. He's a big reason for that.
He's not an edge rusher, though he plays on the edge. He's an edge crusher because he takes that end and drives it in and back.
I like what you did there. You added a C to rusher and made it crusher.
Feel free to use that.
That's good. I like that.
All right, let's hear what Mike Tomlin has to say about what he's seen from Trevor Lawrence so far.
But I see a guy that has first overall type talent. He can make any throw on the field, both from an arm strength and touch perspective. He has unique mobility in terms of his athleticism. And I think that talent set makes him a extreme challenge. And I would imagine with experience, because of that talent set, he's going to be increasingly more difficult to deal with.
Mike kind of singling out, obviously, his arm strength, but what he's been able to do in terms of mobility, because we've been seeing a lot of mobile Trevor recently. Even with a bum knee, he's out there running around, leading rusher for the team. So it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, not that they didn't respect he could run a little bit, but now it's being brought up by other coaches. You know,
I was reading something this morning on the Athletic website, and the writer said that Trevor Lawrence was competent, and I thought, what a rotten choice of words. I mean,
adequate.
If all you see is adequacy or competency, I mean, he's both of those things and so much more. He's making a few throws a game that most quarterbacks don't or can't make. And then last week to run and be the leading rusher in a game in which you didn't expect him to be very mobile. He is much more than just competent. And I wonder why people don't see him rising. And maybe they question the Jaguars and how good they are. But Trevor Lawrence is the reason on offense why they're good.
Well, people who analyze the NFL from a 30,000-foot view, they can't watch every game.
Yeah.
So they can't see every throw that we see him making. So they look at the stats, and his touchdowns are 8 or 9 touchdowns. That was pointed out to me this week, and I didn't know because I didn't care.
Yeah.
I guess what I care about is he's quarterbacking a team that's won 4 straight. He's quarterbacking a team that's won 10 of 12 over the course of 2 years. I see him playing smart. I see him running when it benefits him to run and when it benefits the offense to run. He's not necessarily running for 100 yards, but boy, doesn't it feel over the last 4 games when he's taken off and run? Doesn't it feel like they've been big moments that have gotten you big first downs? Against the Saints, I think it was twice that he flipped the field, where you didn't feel like they had momentum. This play here, good call, Brent Reber. That play flipped the field, gave them momentum, and made me feel like they were going to score when they needed to score. So he's doing smart things. He's not piling up stats, but they've been up in the second half of 4 straight games. You don't necessarily need your quarterback to throw for 390 yards in that situation. You need him to win the game. So is he elite yet? I don't know what all that means. He's 5-2.
Yeah.
Also, we have to look at some of the touchdown numbers are down because Travis Etienne is getting all of the touchdowns in some of these games. So
really good teams run for a lot of touchdowns. Historically, that's one of the key stats. This team has run for 7 with Travis, or I think 9 with Bigsby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or is it 8? Well, either way, once you get up into those high teens in terms of touchdowns rushing, it means you can do what you want to do in the red zone. The fact that they're doing that's really important.
And we've talked so much about the versatility on this team. They're going to be spreading the ball around, and that includes the running backs. So we have to kind of put it all together. And we know our national colleagues, it's hard to watch every single team. So when you look at the box score, maybe you don't always see it. But,
You know what's not hard to do? It's not hard to pick up the phone and call somebody. It's not hard to pick up and go, hey, this is what I see. Is he playing well? I see only 8 touchdowns. Is that disappointing to people in Jackson? That's not hard to do. They could do that.
Fair enough. Maybe we'll get the call now, Brian. We put the signal out, so we'll have them call you and get the insider details. Stay with us. We got hot takes coming up after the break here on Jags A.M.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dream Finders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dream Finders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dream Finders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamFindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
Hi Jags fans, Andre Sisco here, safety of the Jacksonville Jaguars. This season, I've partnered up with Lou Ray Peanut Company to serve a greater mission for the Jacksonville community with the Peanut Pickoff. Here's the deal. Every time the Jags make a pick, Lou Ray is going to donate to youth football initiatives in and around the Jacksonville area. On top of that, the Jaguars Foundation will match every dollar. With each interception, our team inches closer to that W, and our kids get to train for a brighter future. Remember, it was always the Jags. Duval!
Have you noticed? It's raining a lot in our area lately. That means you can give your sprinklers a break and save some money in the process. Lawns only need water up to twice a week, and that can come from rain. So before you run your sprinklers, remember to watch the weather and wait to water. For more information, visit waterlessflorida.com.
Denver.
Welcome back to Jags A.M. Price.com, the easiest way to save money with comparison shopping, cashback, coupons, all in one. It is free. Check out Price.com today.
This or that.
And Price.com is the presenter of This or That. I'm sorry, I called it Hot Takes. We're doing This or That today. So, Brian, what do you have for our This or That segment?
What are we, 6 days from the trade deadline, and all you see is you click around the internet or, rumors and stories and who's what. So here's my question. Would you, knowing what you know about this team and where they're at and the way that they're pressuring the pass rusher, if not getting the sack, would you swing for the fences? I mean, would you throw the first-round pick out there or a second, whatever it may be, for a Danielle Hunter or Brian Burns up in Carolina? Or would you be content to hit an in the park and get on base with a guy, Josh Uche in New England is a name that I have seen, and there's an edge rusher who is fallen out of favor in New York. Would you be willing to go get some help and protect your overall draft picks and your salary structure, or would you say, the hell with it, let's go?
In theory, I would, and is going to be a bad answer because you've got to know what it's going to cost, and you've got to know what it's going to cost in terms of long term. Is it going to be a locker room fit? There are factors out there that don't fit that well in a bullet point lists. So I understand if they don't. Sure, it's always better to be better and get guys. If they could get a Danielle Hunter who's going to come in and get you 8 or 9 sacks and really make you a fierce pass rushing team, then yeah, I kind of don't think they will, because I believe that they think their pass rush is better than people see, because I believe they believe they're affecting the quarterback, and that there's more to just getting them on the ground. So I kind of think they won't, but I'll be holding my breath just like everybody else.
I don't think they will, but I will be on record as saying they should, whatever that may be. And I'm not going to play GM in the sense of they should get this or that. Whatever they think they need for the team, I think they should not be clutching their pearls in terms of draft picks, holding on to them. If it takes a pick to get something that they need for this team to be complementary and put them over the edge, then they should absolutely do that.
Yeah, I don't think they care. I don't think they would care that much about the pick. There is an element. Okay, you go get a pass rusher, and I haven't heard this from anybody. I'm just thinking. I was thinking out loud. You go get a pass rusher, and the pass rusher said, "Hey, if this deal is going to happen, I need a long-term contract." We don't have Josh signed to a long-term contract.
That's exactly my point.
So, is that dynamic dangerous? I don't know the answers to those, but those are the kind of things you have to look at. And if you sign him to long-term deals, I mean, you can't sign Josh, who's a homegrown guy. So I think there's a little bit there of
don't rock the boat.
I don't know what all those answers are. But that's the kind of terrain you've got to walk to do
you
this.
can only have so many of those, $25 million, $30 million guys, because you're going to have a $55 million a year quarterback. Mm-hmm. You may have a $20 million wide receiver, probably have a $20 million corner. So if you're going to go and swing for the fences for a Hunter, which is the name, or a Brian Burns, you're taking someone else out of play, because you can't have that many guys that are in that salary structure. You have to choose, and this team has a bunch of homegrown guys that they want to pay.
But we want all of them. We want all the things. We'll have to see if that works out. John, what is your this or that for us this weekend? I believe it involves the offense.
Yeah, is this, and I need to read it to make sure that I'm getting it right. Is the Jaguars' offense already defined, or is it poised to break out? And we're 7 games in, so I won't be disingenuous to say that I don't always, I'm a believer that you sort of know your team after 6 or 7 games. So is this offense what I consider a big play offense at the end of games? It makes plays, it makes clutch plays, or is there more there? I kind of got to go against what I usually say, because I think once Zay Jones gets back, I think once Walker Little's in, there are pieces that make you think that they're really close. I think what's going to happen is what usually happens. There's 10 games left. People want to see, hey, the final 10 games, they're going to score 42 points a game.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's more likely to happen is, I think you're going to have 4 or 5 games the rest of the season where they really click. And I think in 3 or 4 of those, you're going to blow a team out. I think this team's capable of that. And then you're going to have some games where you're sort of clunky, because that's what the NFL is. But I think there's more on the high end for this team to achieve.
Here's why I say poised to break out, because they've been so below average on third down. I mean, last week, they had 8 consecutive third down opportunities that they failed to convert. We haven't seen what they can be. When they can convert, especially the third down in 4 to 6 range, and stay on the field, then I think we'll see what they can be. But right now, their third down conversion rate is about 34%, bottom 5, bottom 6 in the league. I don't think until they start converting on third down, which I believe they can and will, that we'll see who they actually are.
And I think Zay is going to be huge in that. Yeah. I almost wonder if, and I don't know this, I haven't talked to Zay about it, if you're unsure about him at all this week,
you're about to find out.
Maybe you leave him out for one more week, one more bye, and get him back full go. Mm-hmm. Now, if he's ready, he'll play. But it's so obvious what he means to them on third down. We saw it last year, and it's almost like we saw it and didn't really absorb it, how good he was on third down.
By the way, you want to talk about guys that you might have to pay again? He's making $8 million a year. He's got another year on his deal, right? I mean, he is underpaid for what he means to this team, in my opinion.
there are some decisions that are going to have to be made,
Yep.
and maybe some veterans, taking the hometown discount or whatever you want to call it, if they are happy with the situation, or they go after their money. I mean, they've been in lots of different situations, and I just say that because we've talked to Kirk and we talked to Zay before, and they've been in bad situations, and I think that's what makes them appreciate that. Evan as well. So there is something you said for
There's
that,
also
but
a
money's
quarterback.
money. I know.
There's also a quarterback.
What quarterback?
He
to play.
matters.
My this or that this week is about the offensive line. We saw them play above average against the Saints, not allowing any sacks, no quarterback hits, and I think one pressure in that Thursday night matchup. So Cam's been back for a couple weeks now. Walker Little hopefully back. If not this week, he'll be back after the bye. So is this offensive line good now? Are we okay? Or do we need to kind of still rearrange some things?
Well, if you get Walker Little back in there, hopefully what you see, because I asked the question of Doug Peterson about a week ago, I haven't seen the center play all that well. And his response was, well, the guard play hasn't been well. They've had 3 different starting left guards. They have had 2 different guys playing guard on the right side because of the injuries that Brandon Sheriff has had. So my guess is that once Walker gets back in there and Sheriff and the ankle, shores up a little bit, hopefully this rest time gets him back to closer to full strength, that we will then see an offensive line that functions better. I think the problem has been the inability on 3rd and short to run the ball straight ahead, right? Teams have been able to take away 3rd down and short because the offensive line has not been powerful. So I still need to see more, and hopefully we see that with Walker Little's emergence.
Yeah, I think if they were better in short yardage, this line's play for the first 7 weeks would feel more okay. And I think it's had some stuff in the passing game in terms of protection, but most teams have stuff over the course of a season in this day and age, especially when you're in have-to situations. So I agree with Brian. If you can get 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 in the interior, working a little better, I think you're in good shape. And the other thing, too, you have to remember, the offensive line deserves a little bit of credit when you've got 7 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
It does.
it's there. It's not a tragedy, but there have been moments on 3rd down that are just keeping them from being as good as they want to be.
But think about Walker Little, who we think is one of the best offensive linemen on this team, maybe the best offensive lineman by performance from what we've seen from him this year. And if you plug him in at guard and he's shown the ability to play there, how much better does he make you? We saw, 8 plays of what this line?
We didn't get to see much of it in that London game before he
But
went
the
out with
word
injury,
was that he had adapted well in the practice field and they were excited about what he brought. So I think there's a lot of reason for optimism. And, give them credit. They had a quarterback who was playing with a knee brace, and we were uncertain, and they didn't let him get touched.
Right.
That's awesome. That is amazing stuff for an offensive line that we didn't think was playing all that well. I think it's a sign of what's to come.
Also, I want to give a little bit of a shout out to the rookie. Anton Harrison has really stepped up his game the last couple of games, because we were talking about, he was in that mix where Chris Jones was coming. He had that little gauntlet period right there where it was tough on him, but he's been looking so much better.
He's smart. You see the way that he maneuvers himself and the little ways at the end, at the edge of the pocket, as the quarterback's stepping up, that he gets his body in the way and keeps guys. He's been really good the last couple of weeks. He's a really impressive player.
All right, stay with us. We'll preview what we got going on the rest of the week here on Jags A.M.
Since 2014, there's been only one official home builder of the Jaguars, Dream Finders Homes. With quality-built homes and a speedy move-in process, we're in 20-plus communities in the best locations across Northeast Florida. Dream Finders Homes is everywhere you want to live. So get off the sidelines, Jags fans, and get into the game. Let Dream Finders help you navigate your home purchase and offer great interest rates. Visit DreamFindersHomes.com for all your move-in ready homes and step up your game.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguar sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguar sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
There's lots to love from Apple right now at Verizon. Get the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium and more to love from Apple on us with select phone trade-in and select unlimited plans. There's no better place to get what you love from Apple than at Verizon. And there's no better time than right now. All that with the network you can really rely on. It's your Verizon. $999.99 device payment or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on select 5G unlimited plans required. Less up to $1,000 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR. Trade-in conditions apply. One offer per eligible Verizon line. Additional terms apply.
Jags fans, if you want customized Jaguars furniture for your home, just go check out zipchair.com to browse all the customizable options. Zipchair is furniture for fans.
Third down. They get it. Energy, big energy. Finna give us one. They finna give us one.
Four-man rush, dropping his car, looking, steps forward, fires in the middle of the field, and that ball is picked off by Foye Oluokun off the deflection to the 15 as he runs it back. Bengals for the pylon. Touchdown!
I did not tell you we were going to get one.
Foye Oluokun brought back the deflected interception for the score.
Did I tell you we were going to get one?
I'm telling you what, he had a nose for the end zone, dives for the pylon.
Yeah!
Welcome back to Jags A.M. Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. Step up to luxury at fieldsauto.com. That's mic'd up with our wrecking ball, Trayvon Walker, and they left out one of my, I do want to recommend you guys go watch the full thing because my favorite clip of that is when Derek Carr starts screaming at his receiver and
he's yapping at him.
Trayvon's right behind him and with his
there.
country accent.
Wasn't there.
Wasn't there.
For a guy who doesn't say a lot,
yeah,
he never stops talking on the field. Right?
It's pretty funny.
And if folks haven't seen the special that you did with him on YouTube, they should go back and watch it. He's, besides being a really good football player, seems like he's a really good person. I really like him and think that he's the kind of guy you want in your locker room.
He's good, and he's a country Georgia boy, so sometimes you need the subtitles on the, at least I do, sometimes need the subtitles of what he's talking trash about, but
Good kid.
It's good. What do you guys got going on this week? Who are you talking to? What are we doing?
I'm going to catch up with Bernie Parmalee. When you've got a running back that scored 2 touchdowns in 3 consecutive games. Plus, he's a long-time NFL running back and running backs coach and has an appreciation for the importance of the running game and the Steelers and the history of it. So I'm going to catch up with him and talk about all things running.
Yeah, I'm hoping to talk to Travis on the Ozone podcast. Haven't confirmed that yet. We'll be talking to somebody.
Yep.
Somebody will be chatting. All right, stay with us for our Jags A.M. episode tomorrow. We're going to go in depth on that Steelers matchup, talk to one of our insiders, tell you what you need to know for the game on Sunday.